Welcome to People Doing Good for Others. Good morning. This is People Doing Good for Others, where we praise and celebrate and hold in the light those who are truly making significant contributions in our communities. I'm Gary York, and I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I want to thank Riverstreet Productions and Wilkes Communications and 100.9 WIFM for this opportunity. We're honored today to have two incredible musicians. They have a tremendous legacy and following. To my immediate left is Steve Lewis. He's a professional musician. He lives in Jefferson. He's also a teacher at Ashe County High School. He's a world champion in the guitar and the fiddle. Also, I think it's banjo. He's a world champion with the guitar and the banjo. To Steve's left is Presley Barker. He's more of a local hero, if you will. He's been on the Grand Ole Opry. Started playing at probably 6 or 7 years old. He's a student at East Wilkes Middle School. Mm-hmm. So good morning to you, friends, and good to have you here, Steve and Presley.
Good morning.
What an honor to have you on
to be here
at Wilkes Communications. And we're talking about the guitars. I thought that was very interesting that they are, yours is a little bit newer, but this one was made in 1985 by Wayne Henderson, both of them. Talk about your guitar a little bit, Steve, as we start.
It's like you said, a Wayne Henderson guitar. It looks a lot older than it is because it's been there and done that a lot. But it's styled after a D42 Martin guitar from the 30s, and pretty much everything about it is scaled and spec'd after that, except for Wayne's special magic that he does.
And that is magic, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't see it, but you can hear it.
Yeah. Presley?
Well, like Steve said, this is also a Wayne Henderson guitar, and this is my newest one that I have, and I'm so blessed to have 3 Hendersons, but I'm not like Steve yet. He has 6.
Right.
I got a little while to go yet, but this is a D18 style. It's made of mahogany, and the main difference between these two guitars is probably the wood and the binding on Steve's guitar. So his is Brazilian rosewood, and this is mahogany. So, but I really love playing this guitar. It's modeled after Wayne's old one that he plays, number 52, and it was built maybe 50 years ago, and that's a great guitar, and I loved it, and I always wanted one like it. So I asked him to build me this, and it's the first one he's actually ever tried to make look old, so on purpose. So he wore the neck down a little bit and made spots in it where his is, and has a really great sound. I'm so honored to be able to play one of his guitars. I love it.
Steve, you own 6, and you say they're all different.
Every one of them, yeah. They all have, even though they all have, that Wayne sound, and that's where they're like really balanced, and they're nice and fat. They still have different characteristics for whatever reason. I mean, they're made out of wood. And wood's like the only thing that. After it's dead, it still retains most of the same characteristics it had when it was alive. So it comes and goes with the weather, but like Presley was saying, the mahogany tends to be usually a little drier sounding than the rosewood, for lack of a better term. And I have a mahogany Henderson that I like really, really well. And it's totally different than this guitar. And I have a newer one just almost identical to this, and it's still totally different too. But it still has that inherent Wayne sound, the ability to they just mic so really good.
Oh yeah.
They're unlike a lot of other guitars. So
music brings us here. music brings us together. Let's hear a great Presley Barker and Steve Lewis. And he's a teacher. Make sure we understand that. Presley, every Monday night you go to Jefferson to
Usually every Monday night
a
we go
lesson
take
with
lessons from
Steve Lewis, and we'll talk about how you met later. But let's hear one.
What's he gonna play, Alabama or something?
Be gentle.
Okay. Oh,
Early.
Start.
Thank
Presley, tell the story about meeting Steve for the first time and how you felt when you said it was just an emotional moment for you when you said, I want to know him.
Oh yeah, I knew. So anyway, the first time I heard Steve play was probably at the Allegheny Fiddlers Convention over in Sparta. So, you know, when Steve got up to the microphone, I knew that was a powerful player, and I wanted to be like that. And still today, Steve always says when he's in a competition, he's going to be the loudest one, you know, and he usually is. And you can tell when Steve Lewis gets up to the microphone. And so...
Not necessarily a good thing.
No, but I loved Steve's playing from the first time I heard it. And I knew I wanted to take lessons from him. And it's really been great knowing Steve, and he's taught me so much, and so much stuff.
Very kind.
And gosh, and I always like to tell people it's like finding Bigfoot when you try to find Steve Lewis, trying to take lessons.
Steve,
But
tell us about
it. was
it.
a long process, but it was worth it for sure.
Tell about being a teacher, about being Presley's teacher and the prodigy, great player he is. Tell a little bit about that.
It was kind of strange. I'm not real prompt and punctual about returning calls and emails and stuff, and because I get like a deluge of them a lot of the time, you know, and so and I'll just apologize up front to any folks trying to get in touch with you. I may not actually get back with you depending on how many emails I have to go through. So, but please don't be offended. It's nothing personal. But and so actually, Eric, Presley's dad, actually showed up at my school where I work at Ashe County High School. I teach the mountain music class there. And after we'd done some email and phone tag sort of thing, so he actually shows up in my classroom one morning during class. And so we just so happened I had one available time that I could really do. I've really tried to decrease my, private lesson load, because as the gigs get busier, and with the school thing too, and I've decided I like to sleep occasionally too. So but so he shows up there, and we find a time that works, and it's been going on for about 5 years now. But
as a student, tell us a little bit about his abilities, and as a student and as a teacher, that relationship.
Presley is, like I said, first and foremost, when somebody asks me about Presley, I say he's like the world's nicest guy, and he just happens to be an incredible musician. But Presley had a work ethic like, you rarely ever see, because he really, really wanted it. And I'm sure he would practice, 5 or 6 hours every day back at that point in time. And it gets harder to find that time.
Sure does.
So the work ethic is a significant bonding for the two of you. He's a worker.
Yeah, I mean, he made me work harder, because he was going to whatever, I sent him home with, he was going to have it.
But next week.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be something like I would show the average person who had been playing guitar the length of time that he had. I mean, it would be really seriously involved, and he got it. And I know sometimes his fingers would probably have to be so sore that he couldn't even touch his pants leg or anything, but he practiced anyway.
Right.
And the want to is, like I said, even if he'd never touched the instrument, he's somebody you'd like hanging out with.
It's time for another example of this great talent, the teacher and the student together. Let's go.
Steve, what'd you like to play?
It doesn't matter. I'll try not to throw you under the bus here early. I was going to put you on the spot and get to do one of your contest pieces, but let's just do something like Blackberry Blossom. Is that
Okay,
cool?
that's good.
let's talk about being a world champion and that special moment. And how does it work? Just for our audience, a little bit about what's going on there when they have these championships.
It's actually the national championships they have in Winfield, Kansas, at a Walnut Valley Festival, and it's been going on there. I guess we're probably approaching 45 years, I guess, but something like that. It's been going on, been held there, and there's been a few changes along the way. It used to be like they couldn't lay claim to like the national championship for certain instruments, but as time has gone on, they've pretty much, where other festivals have kind of fallen by the wayside, they now have pretty much everything there. And it is like the international championship for fingerstyle guitar and mandolin too. So, but yeah, the contests are limited to 40 people. And
So it's by invitation that you get to go?
well,
or-
you just, if you've got enough nerve to send your application in, you know, so.
Okay.
And if you look through the past winners, it's like a who's who of a lot of the people you see out there now. I know Allison Krauss won the fiddle contest when she was like 12 or something like that, I think. And, you know, and some folks from not too far away from here, Kenny Smith's been there and done really well. And Mark O'Connor, who's over at the festival at Merle Fest tomorrow, I think. He's actually, they have what they call the Mark O'Connor rule, which is now that you have to stay out for 5 years, because when he started going when he was 13, he won every contest every year. And so
Wow.
every contest that he entered, you know, like guitar and fiddle, and you know, he would win every year. So they have what they call the Mark O'Connor rule. But anyway, and then they eliminate it to 5 finalists, and after you play your 2 tunes. And
You play 2 songs back to back?
yeah, play 2 tunes. You play your 2 tunes back to back. There's a certain criteria they use in judging also, and there's a certain set of guidelines that the player has to adhere to. If you're in the flat pick contest, the use of the fingers is a no-no, so that'll get you disqualified. But just stuff like that. So, little things, but now you talk about a ball of nerves. The first time I ever sat down there in that chair, and I wasn't a young fellow when I started going. I was
Nerves.
oh yeah,
Oh my goodness.
It's but I'd been with a touring, you know, band with a record label, and our record label who was very good actually. They were top shelf, but. They didn't come out and say it so much, but they kind of implied that if you were like a touring professional musician, you probably shouldn't be playing contests. So I kind of had to wait till that kind of went away. So,
I got you.
And so like I was an old timer before I got to start. I don't know, I was probably 26 or 27 years old when I started going out there. But yeah, you know, I actually got to place. The first time I was there, I placed in both banjo and guitar, and I was like, whoa, you know, I wish I could have come to this when I was 18 years old.
Wow.
But yeah, that's a world away from, you know, a kid from the mountains of North Carolina to travel, you know, the 1,200 miles. Wow. It was a long way to town from where I was raised.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, it's time for another duo by Presley and Steve.
What you want to play?
Wherever you want.
Do Lonesome Fiddle?
Yeah, let's do that.
Presley, talk
Yes.
about Steve as a musician, about describing him as, what is the special thing that Steve has that you just blend together in such a powerful message? Tell us about that.
Okay, well, Steve's a wonderful musician. He's honestly one of the best musicians I've ever played with in my entire career of even playing music. And it's an honor every time I get to sit next to him and play. But he's a great guy too, and that really means a lot in the music world. And he really is a wonderful musician, a wonderful person, and I love every time I get to come take a lesson with him. And I learn something new that I'd never thought about learning before, and it really is great. And it's an honor every time I get to play music with Steve.
Very kind.
What will you do at Merle Fest this week?
Actually, I play with a group called the Jeff Little Trio, and we have a set this afternoon. Today is Friday, and yeah, they're kind of. We'll play around 3 o'clock at the Walker Center with the trio, and which is kind of strange because there's 4 people in the trio. We kind of inherited the Sunday morning show at the Creekside stage because that was Doc's favorite set to do here, and Jeff and Doc played together a lot since Jeff was the fellow I work with, Jeff Little, really incredible piano player. He and Doc played together since Jeff was probably 7 years old, and they were kind of friends of the family too, you know, and so we kind of inherited that one, and that's cool too because that's one of my favorite stages there too.
I saw you at the Reeves, and that was an incredible show. I mean,
thank you.
People were just excited when, you know, just so into what you were doing. So
Thank you so much.
for that opportunity. A little bit about teaching in Ashe County schools. How does that go?
It's technically the mountain music course, and I'm not. Throw the word teacher around. I am an instructor. I'm not a certified, you know, licensed teacher, but I am an instructor. And the way this program came into being, after I had won the National Banjo Championship the first time, some of the county commissioners and school board folks came to me and asked me if they could create this program if I would do it.
Really?
Yeah, and so I said, let's try it, and it's been almost 16 years ago. So, and but we try to, you know, touch pretty heavily on the music of the region and our, you know, its heritage value, you know, where it came from, for where the music came from, and a lot of the folks will get to find out that, hey, maybe they had some ancestors that,
Sure.
you know, somewhere back in their family, they had musicians there that they didn't even know about, and that happens quite a bit, you know. A rich musical heritage. I tell everybody, you know, if you could take a compass and put like the point of it, like say near Boone, and make you a 250-mile radius, you'll probably catch probably 75 to 80% of the working musicians in the world, you know, come from that area. This is where it happens. Everybody wants to come here to learn, and it doesn't really have to be bluegrass or old time or country specifically. You know, it's just such a rich musical area, and I'm real fortunate to be at Ashe County High School. They're very, you know, supportive of the arts. We have a wonderful award-winning marching band. We have a steel drum band. We have a jazz band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
wow.
The jazz band is something new, but it's under really great instruction. It's going really well. We have a new drama teacher who's got kids that would have never thought about being a play before. They're like, all of a sudden, they're seasoned actors, so I'm real blessed and very fortunate, kind of the privilege to get to be there.
Well, share with us another Your presentation is wonderful music. I'm just in awe of it. It's time for another one.
You want to do that El Comanchero?
I will
Wanna
try.
do that? Or you want to do something else?
It doesn't matter. Let's see, we just done one in D.
Yeah, we did.
Do something like Building Below Ground? Is that
Yeah,
cool?
that's good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Oh, he's way too polite.
Presley Barker. What a great duo. Tell me the feelings you had yesterday in front of your peers at the school, and you're just kind of a rock star there. Tell us, how'd that feel, Presley?
Oh, it was great. I really enjoyed playing for the kids, and you know, it's.
Did you know you were going to be by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I knew I was gonna have me a bass player there, so I knew I was okay. So, but I do a lot of solo things here recently, and I actually did a gig with Steve and his son Josh over in Georgetown, South Carolina, not too long ago.
A
couple
Yeah.
weeks back, and we done that. But anyway, getting back to the question, I love playing for those kids. It's kind of giving back, I guess. But I really do enjoy it, and I think they had a good time. Or at least I hope they did. So, but I had a good time doing it. So,
Wow.
it was cool.
Okay.
Cool thing.
All right, I'm ready for another song.
Ready for
If
another
I'm
song?
not
Okay.
wearing you out, this is
Won't you do
this
one of your-
incredible experience.
You should do one of your contest pieces, and I'll just back you.
You sure?
Yeah. What do you like?
Well, we could try. We could try the El Comanchero if you want to. If you want
We'll get Presley to play.
Now, what were you? Tell us what you were just saying. You're back. Give us a little idea of.
We'll kind of do this like in a contest setting where it's all going to be Presley. I'm just there to maintain a rhythm track and
Rhythm.
and try to keep him pointed in the direction he needs to go.
He's
That-
one of the
that way
best rhythm players I've ever heard too.
Rhythm.
Gosh, he's great.
So
He's
we're going to
great
hear
playing
the
lead and
rhythm
rhythm.
side of Steve Lewis right now,
Yeah,
right?
This is going to be like Presley sitting in the chair at a contest right here. So, and I'm just.
I
gonna
hope it does
accompany
good.
him. He'll do really good. I'll try not to wreck him.
Thank
So
you.
much. Presley, your role at the Merle Fest this weekend, give us some idea of what you're going to be doing.
Okay, well, the main thing I'm doing at Merle Fest, I'm going to be playing with Wayne Henderson and friends. So I'll be doing that every day this week, so on different times. So that I'm looking forward to playing with him. I always enjoy playing with Helen and Herb and with Wayne, and I love doing that.
Okay.
So that's what I'm mainly doing, and doing some interviews and stuff like that. So looking forward to it.
You've been around the Merle Fest since '89?
I didn't make it the first year. My guitar did, but I was here the next year though. And,
Okay.
And
All right.
I've been playing it with the trio now for probably, I don't know, probably going on 12 or 13 years,
Okay.
I guess. So straight. So.
All right. This magic thing where a young musician gets invited to come play with somebody during the Merle Fest. You might not know it's going to happen, and so Presley got to play with somebody, or is some of it unprogrammed how people get together, Steve Lewis?
It really is. This is a unique festival, and it's starting to happen at other festivals too. Now people are picking up on that. They will put people who don't normally play together with one another to do different sets of various kinds, and of course, the music community, even though you're talking about people from all over the country and the world, especially, acoustic musicians, most of us know one another. And so it's not
okay.
like, you're really being, a fish out of water. But
Okay,
because
all right.
There's usually some common ground anyway. But it's really cool because the folks that come to Merle Fest will get to see people like, well, in years past, you would hear Doc and Sam Bush and Stuart Duncan and even Earl Scruggs on the stage at the same time, which never ever happened, anywhere else except here.
Yeah.
And they still do that. Sort
Anywhere else but here?
Yeah.
Wow.
To start with, Doc just had so many friends that everybody wanted to come and participate, you know. And so a lot of the folks that's been here since day one are still here, you know, like, well, Sam Bush, I think he's been here since about the get-go, but, so they just want to come. But you do get to hear folks get together that you normally wouldn't get to hear in that setting anywhere else, you know.
Well, I'm glad to learn that. I've been in awe of it. Your daddy would say, well, Presley got to play with so, and I said, oh my goodness. And I said, had you, no, they never practiced. I just put them together.
Yeah,
And
they just put them together.
I just, that's amazing.
It's awesome when that happens.
Except
It's
now people are going home and saying, I got to play with Presley.
No.
Yeah, so that's what. That's
No.
what.
Oh, what
that's
a
a big deal.
compliment.
That's a
What a
big deal.
compliment.
It's a big deal for me.
I bet.
Yeah, it is.
All right, let's hear, we got time for one more, maybe two. And is there anything we need to share with our audience that maybe we haven't talked about yet? Is there anything you'd like to, either one of you?
I'd just like to say thanks for having us here.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Well, I pray to
Enjoy
be
coming.
an honorable interviewer, and to have the two of you here is just an awesome experience for me. My goodness.
It's a privilege.
Yeah.
And parents, buy your kids a guitar.
Do you have a favorite song?
Well, there's this one song I really like doing, and I think Steve likes doing it too. It's Black Mountain Rag, and it was the song that inspired me to play the guitar. And
The first time you heard it?
first time I heard it, I heard Doc Watson play it, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to play guitar. So the song is really, really special, I guess. So I really like to play it. So
All right.
we might play it for you.
This is one I worked on for a long time when I was around Presley's age.
And you started how old? You were 6?
I was eight.
Eight?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
At home, what kind of,
Yeah,
was your family musicians?
my dad played some, like everybody else, and during that time, he had to work a whole lot just to keep everything going, so
Right.
it wasn't a priority. You know,
So you
but,
grew up in Ashe County?
right on the Ash-Watauga border, on the Watauga side, in a little
Okay.
community called Todd.
Okay.
We'll try it for you. Thanks again for having
Thank
us.
you so much.
comments with our wonderful friends today. This is People Doing Good for Others, and I'm Gary York, and I want to thank our sponsors, Riverstreet Productions and Wilkes Communications and WIFM in a special way. And what an honor to have Steve Lewis, who's a teacher, Presley Barker, a student, and to see this great bonding that they have and a natural, this rhythm and mixing these things together. I'm just, don't know. It's amazing to have this opportunity, and thank you for being with us today. So Steve Lewis, an honor to have you.
Thank you, sir.
Presley,
Thank you so
and the Merle Fest, the values of it, you've shared that, and it's going to be a great weekend. So I hope you'll come see us again.
We'd love to.
I love
Thank
it.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.